It's not about your right to go hunting. It's not about your right to show your collection to your buddies. It's not even about your ability to defend yourself. It's about one thing: the overthrow of the United States government. It's the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Declaration of Independence was a lot of things. It was the document that set us free from monarchies and kings, oppression, tyranny, and divine right. But most importantly, the Declaration of Independence is a historical document that has to be taken and considered in historical context. America's founding fathers had declared themselves independent to the Crown of England and had fought a war based on various infringements that Parliament and the Crown had done to them. And the Declaration of Independence distinctly lists and states all the grievances that the colonists had with their rulers across the pond. And in 1788, when the time came for them to build and make their own country, they wanted to do so in a way that defied what they had just fought and overcome in British rule. And so the U.S. Constitution was born. It declared that a government was its people, and a government should have checks and balances that limit the powers of any one part of it. That's why Congress declares war, the president becomes commander-in-chief, and the Supreme Court can declare what the president or the Congress does as unconstitutional. And while the U.S. Constitution returned the Western world to an age of an older, pagan, Roman republic, it added one more caveat that the Romans didn't necessarily do in their founding of the republic in 509 BC. Those oh-so-precious articles in the Bill of Rights. In the Bill of Rights, it declares several things: freedom of speech, religion, and assembly to petition one's government. It declares that the government has to pay you if it's going to house troops in your house.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
It protects you from illegal search and seizure.
I love the freedoms we used to have.
Gives you the right not to have to incriminate yourself in court.
It wasn't me.
Protects you from cruel and unusual punishment.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Allows you to sue for any amount over $20. And declares this republic a federalist republic by ensuring that anything not distinctly outlined in the Constitution gets thrown out to the people and the states for decision. Which is why PA liquor laws suck, and why you can get a six-pack at a gas station in Georgia. And almost universally, we all agree that these particular rights are necessary to the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of all people in the nation. Except for this one Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. There are states like Florida that offer concealed carry laws. There are states like Arizona that offer open carry laws. And there are states like New Jersey that practically offer no carry laws. Now, before we continue, just let me brush aside anything that might be said about my personal preference on this topic. As most of you know, I prefer knives. So let's consult the text. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, a lot of people believe that because the militias were so important to the American effort in the revolution against Britain, that the founding fathers decided that everyone should be well trained in firearms in lieu of a police department or a standing army. Let's not forget that they were pretty much opposed to that. But here's the other way of looking at this. Because a country needs an army in order to defend itself, the right for the people to have the means to defend themselves when that government turns its army on them shall not be infringed. Notice that the founding fathers never said muskets or rifles or cannons. It was about governments and citizens and their relationships in the future. It had nothing to do with the technology of the time. So basically what it comes down to is that the founding fathers left this one open so that if it ever became necessary for the people of the United States to do what it is they had just done, again, the people would have the means to do so. Now it's true that they never thought of M1 Abrams, Hellfire missiles, and nuclear bombs. But by saying arms, they were essentially saying that the people had the right to stand up against their government with the same means that the government had to put them down. After all, that's the only way it could possibly be fair. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Marcus, are you saying that everybody should have nuclear weapons? Well, does the government have them? What good is your Glock 21, your AK-47, or your MP5 against M1 Abrams tanks, Apache helicopters, and stealth bombers? And that is why it's worded exactly the way it's worded. Now, before the NSA declares me a terrorist, which they probably already have, the Second Amendment is about the overthrow of the United States government should it ever again become necessary to defend our rights and liberties. However, and this is where the NSA gets involved, the Occupy Living Room movement has nothing to do with violence, it has nothing to do with revolt, and it has everything to do with a show of solidarity and awakening. Which means that it's time for you to get the word out that from November 27th to December 1st of 2014, we're taking the day off and occupying our living rooms. But for those of you that want more, those of you that are looking for another, a better, a more proactive and direct way to participate in the Occupy Living Room movement, oh, don't worry. The second installment is coming.